Hey there everybody, just cracking on with the greatest idea ever of let's have civilians as well as all the other stuff you have to make and paint, because I'm not insane. But how? What do you know? I managed to sort something out. Unfortunately, no miniature companies really make civilians, which is kind of a shame. But I have managed to get a bunch of O-gauge railway miniatures. Now these are kind of 1950s looking, and as you can see, you sort of get a bunch of guys in suits, a few civilians. There is another civilian pose walking for the men, and then there's sort of 4 female poses. But this cost me £3.82, including postage and packing from Hong Kong, so I'm not really fussed. It's a little bit 1950s, like I say, but like I'm quite happy there's a woman in trousers, and the way you paint them, I mean, okay, there's 3 women in sort of dressy, skirty things, but me, I can always paint them like they have jeggings on underneath that big coat and a Russian hat, and give them some funny coloured hair, and you know, I can make them look a little bit more sci-fi with how I paint them. So yeah, I'm gonna show you crowd painting, because I got 100 of these people. In this set there are also seated people, yay! And there's only these 2 types of seating people, and there's like 5 women and 12 dudes seated, but even so, it means if I start doing, like, I don't know, sofas and stuff for inside furniture, because yeah, I am going to do that at some point, because it might be that I'm a little bit mad, but hell, that's all good. And so that is the miniatures I have, and I'm going to just show you quick stage painting them, how to bosh through them quickly, because it's kind of a nuisance. So first of all, the undercoat and the base. So here we have the masses all undercoated. I'm still using black enamel for the undercoat. It sticks to anything. It's easy to use. You don't run the risk, unlike spray paint, of putting it on too thickly, unless you start just, I don't know, sticking the entire brush in the pot, and then it goes everywhere and creates tons of mess. So just make sure, again, if you haven't seen the video where I'm using black enamel as an undercoat, make sure that you just be careful, use minimal amounts. Enamel paint goes a long way, has very good coverage, and it's an undercoat, not a sort of resculpt of the miniature. Also, in terms of basing, I'm actually just using 6mm zinc washers. If I flip him over, there you go, you can still see the metal there. They have enough weight to keep the miniatures upright, but they're considerably smaller than a standard base, which means you can make your dudes fit into a much smaller area, although you may not wish to leave them on these bases, because repositioning, moving around could take forever, and so I probably recommend ultimately maybe taking, because there's 10 sculpts which are different, 11 if you include walking dude and suit with hands in pockets, and I'll see if I can find them, probably not. There's walking dude, there's dude with jacket and hands in pockets, and ooh, I can't find dude with, I know he's there somewhere, but oh, there he is, dude with suit and hands in pockets. But I wouldn't worry about that too much. But if you put each of the 10 sculpts on a base together and make them dense enough so you can't see through them, then you have terrain, mobile terrain, in the form of people who can also run away and be scared and scream a lot. So first thing to do after this stage of painting is to dry brush everybody grey. The reason we're doing this is to just create a colour tone, because when you use different pigments, they're different densities, so your reds, your yellows in particular, and oranges as well, these kind of pigments tend to be very thin. Some greens tend to be pretty thin, the greens on the yellow end of the spectrum. And so if you lay them over black, they virtually do nothing. And so in order to just create some basic shading as well, you do the grey over the white, all over the black even, because I know the difference between black and white. And the grey then provides the sort of natural shading, highlighting tone range, and your other paint will then sit over the top of it, so you can paint it in blocks over the top, and then it's sorted. There are alternative ways of doing this, but I don't have the correct materials at the moment. I might do one day in the future, but not right now. So I'm going to crack on with that, and you can see the masses once they are just quickly highlighted up, and then I'll show you about putting different colours on and making everybody look a little bit individual and actually making them look like people again. Okay, catch you in a mo. Okay, so here's this is 43 odd people who have all been dry brushed. Well, dry brush, semi-wet, dry brushy kind of thing. I just really wanted to get it so that the details are starting to stand out and you've got a light colour as the base tone for everything else, just to make my life a little bit easier. Nothing special about this. Everybody looked kind of chalky. That's what happens when you dry brush. It's kind of lazy, but on the other hand, I've just bashed through 43 miniatures in about an hour. So this is about speed, not perfection. This way, I don't know if you ever paint armies, this is how to paint armies. You have a method. You stick to the method and you bosh through it. The next thing is, do all the skin tones. So I'm going to do that by starting with a dark skin tone. I'll take 10 figures, all of a different thing. Hang on. So what I'll do is, I'll take 10 figures like so, and I will use a darkest flesh tone, and because I'm going to be doing this all with ink or with transparent paint, pseudo mixy, haven't decided yet. Probably I've got a flash ink from the Vallejo range here, which is it's pretty dark. So that way I start with a dark brown skin colour, and then I do a medium skin colour, and then I'll do a light pasty skin colour. So each group will get done, and each range of figures will have a full range of skin tones to them, which will create enough differentiation so despite them wearing similar clothing, and let's face it, fashion's trend, so people tend to wear similar clothing, and a suit is a suit is a suit is a suit, so that's all good, and nothing's particularly fancy, nothing's particularly ostentatious or noticeable, so then it'll just be a case of varying up the colours on the clothing. So I might do a whole load of black suits, a whole load of blue suits, but then I will take different miniature colour ranges and mix them together, but I'll show you that when I get to it. So for the moment though, I will go away and I will do skin tones. I'm just trying to find it because I've lost it. I believe it's the Vallejo Skin Tone Ink Wash. Yes, Vallejo Skin Wash. That's what I'm going to use. And if it's not quite dark enough, I will do around dark, because I like to have a full representation of ethnic groups. I don't want them all to be like, you know, whiteys or Arabic or what have you. So I shall crack on with that, and I shall be back momentarily. So here you have it. This is the flash tones done. On the far left we've got a mixture of an old GW brown ink with the Vallejo skin ink, and I think there might be a little dab of water in there, but it was mostly pretty neat because I wanted to have like a proper kind of dark skin tone. And then that's this one on the left here, by the way, point at the right one eventually. And then this dude, that's just the Vallejo skin tone, and you can tell that they're Spanish company, can't you? Because look, it's a swarthy tanned person, and I'm from Britain. We don't look like that unless we lie and paint ourselves in that colour using that spray tan malarkey. This is the Vallejo skin wash with 1 part water, 1 part ink. This is 2 parts water, 1 part ink with the Vallejo ink, and then this is again a very old GW chestnut, and that's about 3 parts water, 1 part ink, because it's incredibly strong, and that's more like what British people look like, or pink and pasty. So there's only a handful of pink and pasties in there, but I've got sort of 10 of these colour, 10 of these colour, 10 of these colour, 10 of these colour, and just like the dregs, I think there was 3 or 4 which were just in this. And it's just to give it a complete tone range. And in the background you can see the masses, the horde, the developing group of people. And what I've done is I've organised into columns. I've mixed minis and I've mixed skin tones. So now the next thing will be hair. So like I'll do one column blonde, one column black haired, one column brunette, one column ginger, one column blue, one column green, because I want to have some of that blue green hair, maybe pink, blue green, pink, I don't know, I haven't decided yet. I might mix them, break them down a little bit further still, and mess about with that some more. I think for the moment I've got more to paint, so in the future maybe I'll do pink, and for the moment I'll do blue and green because I have those as inks, and that means I can be lazy and I don't have a pink. I've got a red ink, but meh. So next stage, hair, and I'll be doing that and getting back to you momentarily once I've gone over the hordes. So yes, the many coloured hairs, all done, all ready to go. The blue and green's pretty intense, but I'm kind of happy with that. It's meant to be sci-fi, so that's all good. Coil up business people with blue and green hair, but you know, I think after many generations of living with blue and green hair, you know, 175 years in the future, I don't think it'll be uncommon in the business place unless we're still complete, I don't know, rot up our arse and numpties. So, next step, they're all already organised into columns again, is to start painting on their clothes. So I'm going to just paint on suits. So we're going to have like black suits, black office. So these are like office workers. So it'll be like black clothing, blue clothing, brown clothing, maybe dark green clothing. I haven't quite. Probably brown actually, because as you can see the green's pretty intense. And then we have sort of people in civvies, and this will be a bit of a mixed batch. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to do this. The dudes are probably all going to be jeans on their bottom half and shirts on their upper half, so I might just leave their shirts white, which is a bit lazy, but meh. Or I'll mix and match some shirt colours in there. It'll be fine. The women's clothing again, you know, I'll probably do a series of red clothing, a series of yellow clothing, a series, I don't know. It'll all make sense when it's done. But either way, it's bish bash bosh, get them done. These are the masses, they're not important. What's important is the main batch of minis, which is your actual army. I mean, it'd be nice if these were all perfectly painted, but I don't have a million years spare. I hope somebody does, and that they have perfect civilians. So I'm going to crack on, and I'll be back momentarily. Catch you in a second. Phase 1 complete. Office workers done. Just have to sort out the bases, but I'll do all of them together at the end. Now I just have to work out what the hell it is I'm doing with the other guys. So you can see little details done last, just putting in ties and stuff, but after painting in suits, we've done like a green-black mix, which is in the foreground. Blue, it's about 1 part green, 2 parts black, about 1 part blue, 1 part black for the guys in the middle ground, and just a straight black for the dudes at the background in the ink departments there. I think this gives you a decent range of office worker types. So next I'll be on to people who are just out and about doing their thing without any stupid ass job requirement nonsense going on. So yeah, onwards and civilian-wards. So here's my civilians, and they're in, well, I say civilians, what I mean is they're all civilians because obviously they're just civilians because they're not military types. I mean people in cash, not in suits. And I've just used reds, blues, khakis, kind of thing you see, you know, like cargo pants, jeans, something which is a bit brighter. I know these days a lot of people seem to wear nothing but black, blue and grey, and that's male, female, whatever, but it's dull, so no. I'm going to mix up the colours. Also I think it helps to give a bit of a sci-fi feel. So, I am just going to paint all these little rings so that their base is done. And basically I'm going to consider this to be, or paint it grey, so it blends a bit, bland grey as well, so it doesn't stand out against sort of a grassy green or brown kind of surfaces. But also I think I'll assume that that's how Aleph marks them, so civilians get a dull grey circle underneath their feet, and that's just life. So I will get that done and I will see you in a mo. Here you have it, all based, painted. You can see the paint job is not mega fantastic, But that's just kind of the nature of this, and just boshing these out. I think I just boshed out like, I don't know, 47 miniatures in like 8 hours or something. That's just standard where they're not completely pig ugly. I know they're not mega, they're not great, not by any means, but I was going to do that. So one quick last thing, I'll just show you how they behave as line of sight and cover, effectively. So here are some coastal tsubutai near to us, and as you can see there's the crowd, and if I keep focusing back you can see right in the background that there is an orange base. Now if I just part the crowd for you, this is going to you can see that there's an intruder lurking back there. And so yeah, there you have it. Fully functional human terrain in the form of civilians taken from an O scale, is it O scale or 0 scale? I think it's 0 scale. 0 scale train set miniatures, 32mm tall. Now they are marginally taller if I put them side by side than one of these guys. So if I actually put this so they're on the base, you see they're quite a lot taller. In fact, stood next to her, he's considerably taller. If I get an intruder though, see his head height is pretty much the same, but that's on a base. So if you do want to make sure that they are covering line of sight, you just need this bit of height variation, and you need these guys to be a little bit taller because I quite like the idea of crowds as actual line of sight blocking. Otherwise you'll be able to see over the top of them, and then, well, depending on the kind of fella you are, you're going to start shooting at people through crowds, which is rude. Very rude. Don't kill the civilians, that's not what the game's about. So yeah, again, as an option, I think I'm going to leave all of these ones based how they are, but when I do the rest of these ones, I think I will base them up because they're kind of a pain to place and move and everything as they are, whereas if you had sort of, I don't know, ten on a base, so that you have something like this, then that'll be a mobile, you know, when they start running away and stuff, they'll block line of sight. Also, I think it'll be kind of nice to have the kind of variation where you can have crowds that disperse or crowds that move as blobs and run away as blobs, with the odd one to use as dispersion. Also, these provide a whole load of objective markers for if you're rescuing people. I can't remember the name of the mission, but one of the missions does that. So if you want civilians to rescue or civilians as hostages or what have you, these provide that option. Okay, so I hope this has been of some use to you and that you found it interesting. So remember to enjoy your painting, and I'll catch you next time. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Bye bye.